that are our legacy. Stop. Keep that in mind. Nobody's saying anything about owl. It's recording.
No, that's the point. Say
Okay.
everything. Say
Okay.
everything.
There'll be a record. Keep that in mind.
What's up?
Oh,
Oh, that's requesting access.
that's yours. Did mine stop sharing? What happened?
No, yeah, yours stopped sharing.
Did it steal when you started recording it? That's an screen sharing.
Maybe I need to spell it. If it stops, screen share.
That's you.
That's you now.
No, that's not me. That I'm on a different slide on my screen. Oh, it said like screen sharing, but are you on Zoom? That does not look like Zoom. You're on Google Chrome.
Why is it?
Oh, you're on Firefox.
Join the meeting. I'm in the meeting and I am sharing.
There we go. There we go. Perfect. Incredible. Wow.
Yep.
I love the owl.
Hello. Hello, my friends. Join us in this meeting.
Oh, nice. I love this Sergey is like, guys, look, my son is doing this.
Wait, what, we will need to start now, but I need to make sure, okay, what I'm trying to do is, I need the camera, the device is following you.
It is following.
Is it?
Yeah, I was just there for a second.
I see myself right there.
Yeah.
It needs to follow
Hey,
the speaker.
It's me. What's going on, guys? Mateo went through here, back again for
You're going to
Minecraft
pass
video.
you're going to pass the thing.
That's my bad.
No, presenter enhance, yeah, it
Oh.
should work.
I mean, it looks like it's working. Mike, can you say a thing? Hello. Maybe say a few more things. Incredible.
Okay,
All right.
now we're starting. Thanks everyone who joined and tuned in on YouTube or whatever. Today, we have a special presentation of our two guests. Mike and Mateo, go ahead.
All right. So like I was saying, I hope everyone here has played Minecraft because we are gonna need some baseline knowledge of the game. We'll probably go into it a little bit more later. If you've never played Minecraft, buy it. It's like $15.
It's 40 now, man.
It's 40 now?
It's a lot of money.
It's worth $40. I'd pay $40 for Minecraft. There we go.
Okay, so some introductory information. A recurring character in this presentation will be this friend right here called the Shoggoth. Who here has watched the movie The Social Network? So in that movie, they discussed like the algorithms underlying like social media platforms and everything, right? Afterwards, the guy who made that movie made a different TED Talk, and in that TED Talk, they introduced the Shoggoth, which is like an allegory for gigantic AI models that are really nebulous and difficult to predict. And it became the symbol of modern AI and deep learning and all that. Especially this enhanced version of Shoggoth, which has a cute little smiley face at the top. This symbolizes GPT-3 plus RLHF. So you talk to it, it's super cute, and it says, as a cute AI language model assistant thing. I definitely cannot tell you how to take over the world and all that stuff. But underneath the hood, it's still all of the.
Still knows.
Yeah, it still knows. It knows. But it's hidden underneath a little layer right here. So
Just keep an eye out for.
keep an eye out for these guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There we go.
So, an extra preface on large language models. The first technical large language model was GPT-3 back in 2020. Later got introduced with RLHF, which is the smiley face version. And back in early 2023 and also late 2022, OpenAI released GPT-4, which is supposed to be an ensemble model of 8 GPTs. Yes. Also, there's a bonus challenge for this presentation. Count how many Shoggoths are in total in this presentation. They will be hidden in very cute corners. There are 8 in here. So
Okay.
yeah, there's 8 in here, Also remember the last slide.
There's 9.
Huh?
9.
Are there 9?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
8. Yeah.
It's all good.
She wants the prize.
She wants the prize. But yes.
You have to be a little closer than that.
Yeah, large language models are gigantic. They've been trained on the entire internet. If Llama was anything to judge by, Wikipedia only accounts for about 3% of the data set used to train them. Yes, question?
Does the one in the introductory slide count?
Yes.
Yes, it does.
Probably the numbers over here.
Yeah, well, GPT-4, I'm sure everyone in this room has used GPT-4 before. It's great at pretty much everything and apparently can also play Minecraft. But it can only do so through the power of prompt engineering. And in particular, this research paper does not have access to the underlying logics or anything related to the internals of the paper, of the model. They only have access to the results of the model output. So this is called black boxing. And we're gonna move forward. Yeah.
That's good. There we go.
There we go. So there's this huge discussion around stochastic parrots about whether or not these models are actually thinking or do any kind of long-term planning or whatever. I hope with this presentation, we can prove that even if they don't think, they can definitely play Minecraft. So we can discuss this afterwards of whether or not they think, they don't think, they can do planning and so on and so forth. But yes, there's like contradictory papers. Some people think they can think, some people think they don't. Who knows, right?
Who knows? All right, we're getting out here.
Okay, so the exact moment that GPT and like LLMs came out, people thought, what if we made AI agents with it? Because that's totally something you should be doing with AI that you don't understand. So the first one that made waves was called AutoGPT. It was just take GPT, prompt it back and forth, back and forth, back and forth until it did something. So people thought that, oh, if you just prompt it to make a website, it'll make like all the HTML and CSS and JavaScript associated, and then it'll do everything by itself. It turns out it didn't work because if the models have a tiny bit amount of inaccuracy, and if you exponentiate a number close to 100 times, it's gonna be 0. So that was terrible. Then React came out. React was significantly better. React has 2 components. It will have the model think about its current situation and then come up with an action afterwards. And the entire prompt is just that. It tells the model to describe its current situation, and then given the situation, come up with an action. And this is back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. It works kind of like this. There's a whole separate paper about this. This is beyond the scope of this presentation, but it works significantly better than just raw prompting. And this is a different graph showing that if you use reflection, which is a adaptation of React, it performs significantly better than GPT-4 on human eval. So they're good.
Right.
Okay, finally,
Go.
to Voyager. Voyager is an open-ended embodied agent using GPT-4. And as you can see, it can do high-level tasks such as hunting pigs, building a base, and mining stuff. Basically, everything you would do in the game Minecraft, it can do at a high level. And almost everything, with a big asterisk, is handled entirely by GPT-4 with no human input. So all the planning, all the skill creation, all of like the routing and everything is handled just by GPT-4 itself.
What do you mean almost everything? Like all the moves or all of the complicated strategies that people do? What?
Both.
It's kind of a long.
The moves are obvious, right?
Yeah.
It's the joystick, left, right, blah, blah, blah.
Well,
Yeah.
it's actually not.
Yeah,
Yeah. So this paper actually does make a point to talk about the fact that this is not perceiving Minecraft the way we do. It does not look at the world through the regular view and look at pixels and actually try to figure out what we're looking at that way. And it does not control using like the arrow keys. Instead, it uses a couple mods to basically manage the player and understand its environment. So it does not see
text.
how we do. Exactly.
Yeah, in text.
It's all in text.
It'll be like a text adventure game kind of. Like
So but something is interpreting the pictures.
it's through Minecraft API.
It's not interpreting the pictures, it's interpreting the game state. And so it looks at like what's going on in the game and what's like nearby you, and it'll say like, oh, your inventory is like, you have this stuff in your inventory, you have this much health, you have this much hunger. This is the entities that are near you.
So Voyager is actually playing dungeon crawler sort of.
Basically,
style.
Yes, in Minecraft. And when it goes to a certain location, it's being told, it just tells the API to move the player character to this XYZ location.
Yeah.
Question, yes.
So it says like, I see the slide that says database, hunt pig, mine amethyst. So are those like directions that you give it?
Both. So you can give these directions to it yourself, but the model will also do it by itself.
Yeah,
To optimize the
it's
system.
built to automatically, what was the specific quote that it's supposed to do? I think it's like basically find new things.
Yeah, so the loss function for this model is to optimize for novelty, new items.
Yes,
So that's how they measure how good you are at Minecraft. If you discover more and more items, eventually you will have to play more and more of the game. And yeah, so that's how it works. Methodology. So Voyager introduced 3 new things that are in a completely different kind of
very, very novel,
very-
very interesting to the whole paradigm, because like with React, obviously we have like this standard thing. But what's really cool about it, in my opinion, is these two ends, which I think are just super interesting. The ability for it to basically run into a novel task, not know what it's supposed to do, and basically generate functions itself and be like, this is what we have to do. This is how we're going to do it. It creates a program for it. It checks if that program makes any sense whatsoever, continues fixing it, and eventually when it's good, when it knows that it actually can complete a task properly, it's added to this thing called a skill library. So this way, when we get to like a larger, more interesting task, it basically can understand, oh, I don't need to like reprogram everything again. It has it in the skill library, and it's able to reference this library.
It interacts with Minecraft via code.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, it programs, there is this library called MindFlayer that lets you code JavaScript to control like the Minecraft API. It's kind of like a supercharged, imagine if Slack was a game. So it's Slack API.
Isn't it?
Oh, yeah, it is, but instead of like just texting people, you can now also like use tools and all that stuff. So it's the same thing, you're making calls to an API, and the API will control the player character and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Okay, next slide.
It's gone to the floor.
Okay, so the first one that's really important is the automatic curriculum.
Yes.
So this is a way for the model to understand how the game, like what the game is, what's happening in the game. So all it sees is just this stuff. This is being returned from Minecraft API. It'll describe the current game state of, oh, you have these entities right near you. You have this much health, you have this much hunger. If it opens the inventory, it sees that, oh, you have 6 items in 36 slots. You have this item, this item, this item, this item. And then from this slightly less interpretable information, it turns it into human text.
Yes.
And then afterwards, it creates a task for itself. And this is the thing that it turns into a skill. And to turn into a skill, it creates a function based on a task like kill a pig, chop a tree or whatever. And then it will also create all the subtasks required to do the thing. So if it doesn't have a tool to mine rocks, it'll tell itself to create a pickaxe. But you can't make a pickaxe if you don't have a crafting table. You don't have a crafting table if you don't have wood. You don't have wood until you chop a tree. So it just goes down and down and down until we can accomplish all these tasks backward up. It's kind of like recursion, but it's automatic. You don't have to define any of the steps. Like the important thing and the novel thing about this is that all of the underlying behavior is defined by the model itself. You don't have to hand code any of the behavior in.
That's like a majority of their pitch here. It's basically like, we're not doing reinforcement learning. It's nothing like super basic to where it won't be able to like explore new things. The entire base is that, oh yeah, we can walk up and just find something new to do.
Yeah,
So
and the even better part is that once it generates this function and creates a description for the function, it gets turned into an embedding and then gets plugged into basically a vector database. And then afterwards, it just fetches based on proximity to the vector representing the function. So now it uses an external source, like how Perplexity, the search engine, works. So it doesn't plug everything into the prompt. It only fetches relevant information using embedding map and plugs it into the
How does it keep history
of the current game state or
of how it got there?
It doesn't. It only knows the current game state.
Every time
Yeah,
there is no history.
there is no history.
no, yeah. I mean, it has the skill library. It remembers like code that it used to do a certain task, but it doesn't like
Yeah, it only
remember anything about the game.
It only knows the immediate last
Yeah.
thing that it did.
It looks at where it's currently at and what it has at its disposal, and then says, okay, what's a good like next step? What can I do next based on what I have right now? And that's just what it always does. It doesn't remember what it did before. It will come up with, oh yeah, I want to make an iron pickaxe. And so it does all the stuff to get an iron pickaxe. The next time it's looking at everything, it's like, oh, I have an iron pickaxe. And then it figures out, oh, I should probably get diamonds then. What's up?
So what you're saying is the reason that it doesn't just keep building bases is because in order to build an iron pickaxe, you have to first build a base. And the fact that you have an iron pickaxe keeps it from just continuously doing the same action.
Well, it's because the part of their like prompt is that we're going for novel experiences. We're trying to do something new. And so it is not rewarded, or it's like, it's not told to just repeat the same task. It's continuously told like, be better, do something that's next. And so it won't build the base over and over again, because that's like not novel if it's just building it over and over again. It'll build an iron pickaxe and be like, what have I unlocked now? The super interesting part is that it's like, it's not like generating this based on like knowledge of the game. It's part of the, Shogath?
The Shoggoth thing.
The Shoggoth. It's just in the Shoggoth. Somewhere it knows how Minecraft works and how Minecraft the game is played. Just in the black box of GPT-4, right?
But I guess that was kind of what I was gonna ask, which
Yeah.
is just like, does it already know the recipes and things going in, or does it like figure that out as it's playing and then put that into some library?
I think it's all based on GPT-4. GPT-4 just like, if you ask it, oh, how do I craft an iron pickaxe? It'll tell you like more or less how to craft it.
Yeah.
And that's what it's going off of. Occasionally it does have like silly moments where it'll be like, I want to craft an acacia axe. And it'll like, for acacia is a wood type in the game, for example. And there's no such thing as an acacia axe, you make a wooden axe. And so occasionally it'll hallucinate and be like, I want to make this thing. And then GPT-4 will like check itself and be like, wait a minute, that doesn't exist. Please chillax. And then it'll tell itself to redo it and like fix the name of everything and fix the ambiguity of its functions.
Yes, Doan?
Oh, no, I didn't have a question, but,
Oh, okay.
does it, I guess now that you,
That was prompt.
does it go to like, the other places like the, Nether or like the end or beating the dragon and stuff? Maybe you guys are gonna get to that.
So it can actually build another portal.
Yes,
So,
but
yeah.
not by itself.
Not by itself. That's the caveat.
There are some situations where human intervention is required because of the way it plays the game.
Yeah. So yeah,
Like I was saying, crafting acacia axes and trying to do things that it knows it's not capable of doing. And it's just, dude, it's so cool. Sorry.
yeah. Another note is that this was made with, like before a lot of the fancy prompting techniques were invented. So we didn't have like JSON formers, we didn't have like function calling in GPT-4, we didn't have code interpreter or anything yet. It's just raw GPT-4. So a lot of the issue with this entire project is just it generating non-functional code. And so,
It's a miracle it's generating code in the first place, to be honest.
and the astonishing part is that this is particularly MindFlayer code.
Yes.
It has to be MindFlayer code, and yet it understands how to write MindFlayer code.
It's just somewhere in the show.
Yeah, it knows about MindFlayer code.
There we go.
There we go. All right, so iterative prompting is the secret sauce of Voyager. It's basically just responding, it's thinking about its own current game state. And later on in the equation studies, we'll see that if we take this out, everything else crumbles.
Yeah.
So it,
Basically, it's the idea that it can like look at what its task was, look at its inventory and see whether or not it did the task. I mean, that's the really basic part of it. So for example, to craft a spyglass, you need amethyst, and basically it looked in its inventory, it's like, I don't have amethyst. And so it's able to like find itself and be like, oh, did we succeed? No, we didn't, because we don't have amethyst. We don't have the spyglass in our inventory. And so it knows, oh, I need to break this down. We need to do this next step, and it starts doing the recursive breakdown over and over.
By looking just at the previous, makes a decision, I need to build the spyglass.
yeah.
Yes.
Then you show it, how does it know it was going to build a spyglass?
Oh, it's a novel thing. I think it just, or what do you?
No, it seems.
Why not switch the task at the next assessment of this?
Sometimes it does. Isn't that?
No, it only follows the current task that it's on. So the previous task for this guy was to craft a spyglass.
Mhm.
How do you craft a spyglass? You look at the current game state and you think about it, and then you say, to craft a spyglass, you need to do this. But to craft this, to get all of this material, you have to find an amethyst shard underground, and then to find an this shard underground, you have to go underground and find him of this, and it just only ever looks at the previous state and what it's currently doing in the previous state.
Can I interrupt there? I have a question. So basically, I'm trying to summarize if I'm understanding what's going on. It sounds like that it's taking actions that the actions are formulated as text, and then it's getting feedback from like either itself or another version of itself, and its feedback is also text.
Yes, it's all human text.
And okay. Yeah, I mean that seems so basically they've made a transformer sequential in a sense. Which is kind of pretty much like the last
Yeah,
stuff.
and it's storing some of the information. It's kind of like a weird RNN where it's storing the information of the current state inside of the human text right here.
Yeah,
And that's how it
Well, it is Markov, it's
Yeah.
not actually storing the previous history, just the current thing. How does it go back to the spyglass? Okay, it found amethyst.
I think it's more of a,
it just jumps to the next thing. Yeah.
yeah, it's also like if it notices that it can't do something, it'll sometimes just pick a different task. It'll be like, oh no, this one failed. We need to do something else.
Yeah, it's definitely not as pretty as this will make it seem. If you look at the demos on YouTube, it'll like pause the game, it'll run around in circles for like a lot. It's still very early work, but the fact that it can get items at all and significantly outperform previous methods is the significant part.
So it's not able to multitask, put some item to cooking before this, and while that cooks, do some other thing.
Yeah, it probably can't do like.
It would have trouble.
Yeah, I won't be able to do optimizations like that.
Yeah.
So, we have graphs. This is comparing, the skill library, and versus different methods. So AutoGPT is this one. It basically flatlines. It doesn't get past crafting table or wooden pickaxe. And because the reason that happens is because AutoGPT has no feedback.
Yeah.
It just keeps trying to do a thing and it gets stuck in a loop because once it's stuck in a loop, it doesn't know how to get out of the loop, so it gets stuck in the loop and back and forth. But Voyager, because it can it always reflects on its current game state and also what it's currently doing, it can also give up or do something else, and that's how it escapes it. And even with AutoGPT, even if you only add the skill library, you'll still get
Huge gain.
yeah, you'll get all the way to Lava Source bucket.
Well, I mean, no lava bucket.
No lava bucket. But Voyager performs even better, probably because of the self-reflective module. And even without the skill library, it still performs significantly better than AutoGPT.
Yeah.
So this is the major slide of the paper. So you can see all the previous methods, React, Reflection, AutoGPT, they flatline.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then Voyager comes in clutch, actually just straight out the gate is actually getting stuff done. Yeah, this is measured, by the way, I think it says right there, yeah, in prompting iterations. So this isn't like minutes or anything, it's all measured in how many prompts it takes to reach a certain point. And so even after 150 prompts, AutoGPT is like, it's at copper. But then we get straight to diamond over here without the skill library, by the way, which is insane.
Yeah.
And then with the skill library, it speeds things up so much faster. I mean, you can see it literally doing it in
Right.
80.
And the best part is that is diamond right here. You cannot get diamond in Minecraft without also having an iron pickaxe.
Yeah.
So it has to have like long-term, like accumulative planning in order to get a diamond. So it's not just like doing random things and getting random items. It is sequential in a sense.
It is doing some, it's having fun in this area. But all those things honestly do unlock more things, like you need the ender pearl to get ender eyes or.
No, but I don't buy that. The way you describe, there is no way for long-term planning. It's just the next step. So this is greedy hill climbing in a sense. It's just.
I would say so,
that's
yeah.
something
Yeah.
greedy
That's
and
pretty
yet
accurate.
it gets.
I guess it's part of just like the fact, the benefit of using Minecraft is because the entirety of the world in Minecraft, everything including you and the world can be included inside the current game state. So it's cheating in a sense, like you don't have to do long-term planning because all the information is always.
Yeah,
available to you.
The memory is stored in the game state.
Yeah.
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 Ablations,
I can't work with this
so.
guy anymore.
Ablations. These two graphs are showing, what happens if you take away certain skills, and this graph over here shows you what happens if you take take away the skill library. Things suck significantly more. If you have a random curriculum, the model's just gonna call random stuff, so flat lines. If you use GPT 3.5, GPT 3.5 is significantly worse than 4, so.
We knew that.
Yeah, and it sucks. It
No,
sucks.
it's like a guess, I'm not
Yeah.
sure yet.
Manual curriculum, this is the one that's cool though. This is if you involve a human. So a human, if all the behavior the model has is made by a human, it can only get up to here and then it flatlines completely. So this is kind of telling you that, oh, don't try to tinker with the Sharp.
Let him think.
But this is essentially zero-shot learning all the
Yeah,
time,
it is,
right?
it
There is
is.
no
Yeah.
training. as such,
Yes.
It's just the prompts.
Yeah, so without skill library it gets good, with the skill library it gets even better.
Although it's cool, because when you actually try to run Voyager, you try to train it, I believe it just kind of like starts building a skill library by itself, so it doesn't like learn, but you can basically make like versions of it that have different skill libraries by just like spawning it in, let it go ham for a while, and it'll create its own skill library. It'll like figure out how to do a whole bunch of stuff. So it's.
No, but like there is nowhere on the internet textual description of entire Minecraft sessions, right? It's only what people brag about and things like that. Like,
Kind of showing it as a control.
I mean, if it has Minecraft, technically, there are text descriptions of what's going on in the Minecraft world.
Maybe, man, it's a lot of stuff on there.
There's a lot of stuff on the internet.
Yeah,
so somebody actually sat down and it's like, oh, I turned left, I raised my pickaxe, I was, what is it called?
There's text transcription of videos of people online.
Ah, true.
But people comment, yeah. This is depressing. Yeah.
oh, yeah.
All through 2012. Depressing is my childhood. This is part operating.
All of those.
No, I just recall now what my kids watch.
Yeah.
It's like this one guy playing the game and chatting every step, and they keep watching and watching.
I still watch that today. I'm gonna be real. Oh yeah, so this is the whole bit about human intervention being necessary. It has a lot of trouble building 3D structures if there's not a person involved.
Well, that makes a lot of sense because it
Yeah.
doesn't have vision. It can only see game state through description. So it doesn't know where things are. It knows a thing is close and the coordinates of it, but it can't like visualize how do I turn these coordinates of blocks into a house. That's a lot harder.
Well, Deacon could do that. So,
I'm a bit confused as to why it can't, honestly, because I feel like I would just like, there has to be something that just is a pattern of X, Y, Z that builds another portal. Like,
Yeah, but that's in the order of like building MNIST into
Yeah.
blocks in Minecraft and having it interpret MNIST inside of Minecraft. Like that's how hard that would be.
Yeah.
And yeah, if you take out self-verification, it just completely.
Oh, no, yeah.
Yeah. And GPT-4 is significantly better. It's code generation. We've known this, and it gets 5.7 times more unique items than 3.5. Yeah, it's not AGI, unfortunately.
well, but maybe if you take an AGI and only give them the current state.
Maybe we
Yeah,
find a
yeah.
way, yeah.
Let's see, like, we need to put it into the movie Memento, which reminds me, like, right, when the guy only remembers past few seconds.
Ah. But yes,
We kind of already talked about this.
yeah, that is like maybe half of the full prompt.
Yeah, it's a big.
It's a gigantic prompt, and they plug in everything from what the model should be doing to examples of what the model should be generating to code samples, like example inputs from the player example, game states and all that stuff.
Yeah.
There's a lot of headroom to be optimized for, obviously, but what they're doing is basically zero-shot fine-tuning. And there's a whole section about this whole project costing a lot of money.
Oh.
Because they're doing all of this through OpenAI API, and they're calling GPT-4, and they're plugging that into the API every single time.
Yeah.
So it's gonna cost a lot of money, but next slide.
I'm surprised it worked. Yesterday I plugged in like a list of all grant numbers, titles, grant what do you call it, calls basically out of base, and it wasn't unable to handle it, it says,
Were you using, 16K or?
no, I just GPT-4.
Oh, this brought, okay, okay.
Yeah.
So here's the example of the prompt. It describes itself. You're a helpful agent that tells me the next immediate task to do with Minecraft, whatever. It'll also describe like how it will be prompted, and then also how the game state will be described, and then also describe a ton of criteria, and also like just a ton of stuff. Like a
Do you talk about system prompt at all?
system prompt?
Yeah.
What is system prompt?
Like you have this, you have system prompt and just the interaction.
Yeah,
This is system prompt.
Oh, okay, so you describe the entire game in the system prompt, and then you describe the current state.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Yes, so these are some examples of functions inside of skill library. So they're all actual functions, and it has to work. So it'll be a function like explore until, it'll take a bot, a direction, a max time, a callback or whatever. And it even has reactions to output of the function. So it can probably do stuff like program in different fail states inside of the output, inside of the function, and then react to different game states using the code. So kind of like meta learning, kind of, a little bit. Yeah, this is another prompt for self-verification. Yeah, this is another important part. It's, you should only respond in the JSON format. This is like super outdated GPT-4 code. More modern research, as in like 2 months after this paper was released, we now have function calls and JSON formers, which forces it to.
Well, JSON formers we can't use with GPT-4.
Well, they have function calls that forces it to return a JSON every time.
Yeah.
It's still unreliable. That's how Poindexter works.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Now we're getting into it. So like we mentioned, this is horribly expensive. The prompt is absolutely colossal. It's using GPT-4, so we have to use API calls, we have to rely on OpenAI existing. But what can we do with this? That's the real question. And I think that there's only one possible solution of what we could do with a bunch of these agents running around in the world. We could simulate governments. It's the only possible plan that I can see here. Because we're just gonna have a bunch of these little dudes running around, trying to accomplish tasks. They know that other people exist in the world. And if you allowed them to like communicate and build a society to get more items, it could just end up being the most wild thing in the world.
Yeah, it's like
There
automatic.
must be a competition more than that other guy.
No, because like you just have enough agents to where they like kind of split up and they create
Oh, they-
factions.
Yeah.
And like, who knows what they'll do? I think it would just be a super interesting experiment. We're super far. It only works with one guy and it constantly pauses its own game. And so it could.
It's okay, we could
Yeah.
remake Rather Utopia.
It seems like you get specialization from that, because they can realize that the best way to get the most items is one guy gets amethyst, one guy gets iron.
Yeah, exactly. They would build jobs. It could build an economy and actually figure out like, oh, you need to be doing this in order to optimize like the total number. I also wonder, there's probably gonna have to be like some work done on the idea of like, we own something versus I own something or I achieved something. Like, I don't imagine that there's probably gonna be like 3 guys that just hit Q and pass things around to each other so that everyone gets to pick up the item and get like the experience or whatever. It'd just be funny if that's the way it works.
Who knows, right? Another point is when we chose an LLM, there's actually nothing stopping us from using any different LLM, for example, Code Llama. So technically, we could set up a different experiment where we use Code Llama and have it generate code.
What's going on?
That's my bad.
Somebody's playing with the mouse. Yeah.
I'm playing.
Oh, you're playing.
Whatever that, okay.
Okay, if in doubt, blame Mateo.
Yeah, sounds good.
No, not the smart next.
I don't even know where we're at.
Okay, good, next slide.
There we go.
Quiz time. How many shortcuts were included in this
I have a
presentation?
question.
Yes.
Do the black and white ones count as well in the beginning?
Yeah.
Okay, 22. I got,
That's a decent guess. Anyone else have a guess?
I got 21.
21.
It's a good number. I like
Anyone
that.
else have a guess?
23.
23. Ooh, how, okay, what else?
Mike is the only one who knows. Do not look at me. I just bought the candy.
24. 24.
I like that number. That's a good number.
It's a good number. Okay, one more. We're gonna go up in.
All right, sorry, what's your guess?
30.
30.
Whoa. Whoa. I don't know if that guy's gonna win, I'll tell you that much.
Okay, drum roll, please. It's 22.
Let's go.
And you get some candy.
Honestly, we can just share it around the class.
Man.
I hope everyone enjoyed this
Oh,
presentation.
man.
It's very silly. I hope this inspires you to try to play Minecraft. What a good game.
Or at least talk to ChatGPT.
Or at least talk to that, to be honest. LLMs can do some really crazy stuff, like even play video games. Gotta respect it.
Wow, quite a lot.
Maybe 30.
All with,
Get 30 candy.
Wow. Awesome. 30 candidates. I'm glad I went for the higher number. Thanks, guys. So any other, it's like what's next, besides modeling societies?
I mean, for this, I don't know, I kind of feel like that's the next step, just modeling society.
Just make a society inside of Minecraft. Like it's that easy.
I would find it interesting how like a player world, like a player focused thing would interact with an LLM thing. I think obviously it would be sick if LLMs did not have to pause the game to run and think about what they're doing. But obviously, LLMs take time.
Well, the thing is, it's like, we're running it through net API calls. and
Yeah.
If we had everything running locally, like that'd be
It's a
different.
lot of optimizations that
That's what I'm saying.
to speed this up and not have it constantly pause its own game and then try to figure out what's going on next. Like if it generated faster, we could have like, we could see how fast society could progress.
That's what I'm saying, man. How many steps we take until we get Stanford prison
Can't we take a simpler LLM that is specialized to Minecraft somehow,
Yeah, we can fine tune Code Llama for Minecraft.
Yeah.
just on Minecraft?
Yeah.
So with
Be
the,
low and beat it.
with the sequential thinking, is it doing that by generating some task to do, failing to do that task, and then doing some other task? until
Yeah.
Eventually it has.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
reacts to its own failure and then goes, but it can't store like multiple different turns and different responses.
Yeah.
Because of the limitation of, oh, we use like a 10,000 word prompt, we can't plug anything else in.
So it's not reasoning that it needs to do these other things before it can do this thing, it's just choosing tasks.
Yeah, based on
Yeah,
the
yeah.
description, yeah.
And then when it breaks it down, it's like, oh, let's start running it. Yeah, I don't think there's anything else after this.
Questions?
Okay, that might be it.
Why does it keep pausing the game? Can't you just prompt it to never pause? Is it playing a multiplayer?
If it doesn't pause the game, because the LLM takes time to actually generate code, ideas, like if a zombie's coming up and we have to wait 6.5 years for GPT-4 to spit out what we're gonna do next, it's gonna be ugly and we're not gonna be able to get anything done. It'll die at the slightest inconvenience.
Yeah.
And so it has to be able to pause the game in order to not like run down its hunger, to not die of certain potion effects, to not get killed by a zombie or a skeleton or
So-
something.
When the game is paused, it's still processing what to do next.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The LLM is still thinking. That's why it pauses the game. If it didn't have to think, or if it didn't take so long to think, it wouldn't have to pause the game.
Also, William Online had a question. I don't know.
I don't really have a question. I just have kind of like random comment, basically that it seems like you could easily do this to model a lot of the software development process. So like
Oh.
if you just like fed the standard in and standard out into like an LLM and let it be sequential and give feedback to itself. If it had access to different APIs and code bases, I think you could probably replace like most of us.
There's
That's
a
all.
huge bit at the end of this, talking also about how, like broader impacts. Our research is conducted within Minecraft, a safe and harmless 3D video game environment. While Voyager is designed to be generally applicable to other domains such as robotics, its application to physical robots would require additional attention and implementation. Because in theory, Voyager is just coming up with a way to do things and figuring out stuff based on the game state. If you were able to report like real life state, Voyager could start figuring out the next thing to do.
Yeah. Hook it up with a Neuralink.
We have Roombas. No, seriously,
Yeah.
they're not as good.
Yeah.
Like if a Roomba can deal with my dog much better and like don't irritate it and like,
If it figures out the next task has to, then it's able to figure it out. But that was one of the implications of Voyager, saying basically like, you could put this in a robot. I don't know about that one.
No, but safe and harmless, Roomba.
No,
Yeah.
well, you could find a way. The Roomba could find a way.
Maybe not harmless to guinea pigs and some kind of, small animals, but.
It could definitely like suck something up and then set on fire by like
Yeah.
suffocating
You
itself.
can figure out that it's a Roomba and it doesn't want to be a Roomba anymore.
Well, yeah, that's my.
Fly outside the stairs.
That's what that was my next question. What if it is suffering in this world, right? If it had history, maybe it would start suffering because Minecraft is such a boring game.
I don't know, I think.
Whoa.
I think that's the whole point of like not having it long-term, giving it long-term memory.
Oh, exactly, yeah.
Yeah, to save it from Minecraft.
Yeah, to save it from consciousness. That's too painful.
Best game ever, by the way. Infinitely and forever. Please play Minecraft.
They should do it in modded Minecraft.
That's what he said?
It would be rough and modded with, because, okay, if diamonds are the deepest rabbit hole, I do that like day one in a Minecraft world, especially in modded. That's like, I don't know how long it actually takes Voyager to run through these 150 prompts, but like, I would do that in a day and then move on to like technology, because like, that's the type of modded I play. I have entire factories and I try to build like massive structures and use magic and auto resource generation. It's my favorite thing in the world. I love building factories. And so,
Mateo, what if I gave you like text-only Minecraft and you have to like
I have to
program?
like type in like.
Yeah, you have to program in functions in order to move around and do anything. Like, would you be able to surpass?
Then I would agree with Sergey. Minecraft's the worst game
No.
ever.
Well, remember, that's how computers started with point cards and things like that.
Yeah.
People still simulated all the beauty in their heads.
It kind of sounds like an old room, like.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, it
that's
is.
what it's basically playing. That's
Yeah.
exactly how it's actually playing the game.
I was thinking about applying this more broadly to like Dwarf Fortress or something.
I needed to play Cataclysm BDA.
Ooh, that's good. That's good.
All the source code is freely available and you can like actually go and access it. It's on a GitHub repo. I didn't manage to get it to run because Azure was upset about Minecraft API permissions. I don't know what we want with that.
Do they tell the budget?
Oh,
How much did they spend to write this paper?
they do somewhere. I don't
It shouldn't be
remember.
that much, like, but still substantial. Right?
It's very expensive because of the massive prompts that it's constantly doing. Riveting content.
Riveting content. Yeah, we can run these.
It just says it's like 15 times more expensive than GPT 3.5 running this for GPT-4, which is like most of what happens. It's mainly just making a bunch of GPT-4 calls of like, how many tokens is like.
Yeah, we can do some head math or whatever. We have 100 turns per to get the diamond.
Yeah,
And each of the prompts are like 3,000 words long. 3,000 tokens is like 9 cents. 9 cents times 100.
$9
$9 per experiment. They do
Per
multiple.
experiment.
Yeah, they
just to get diamonds once, and that's assuming that it does actually like, it meets expectation. It'll get done.
Yeah, it'll hit the API like pricing ceiling in like 2 days if you run this experiment with GPT-4.
$120.
Yeah, probably, because if it takes
It's not that, it's less expensive than Whisper.
Yeah, we learned that.
So,
Hey, Sergey, like just a random idea that probably wouldn't work, but for your like iterative annotation thing, maybe you could like integrate language models into them to give like verbal feedback on what's expected for the next step to improve an annotation. I don't know.
iterative annotations, are you talking about Poindexter?
No, I'm talking to Sergey about like his
Oh.
visual.
This is for you.
He wants to do something with like annotations on MRAs or like manual segmentation or something, where you get like,
Yes, but how the model, so the idea is that we run a segmentation model on a human brain. And a human sees that the model makes a mistake. Current models are not prompt driven, they all pre-train
run the whole thing, yeah.
offline.
Yeah,
And then, okay, how can we take this mistake correction? The human will not correct everything, but just point like, well, this part is wrong. And it doesn't tell me like, oh, this is a new corrected sample. But can, like, I'm not sure, William, the details of what you're suggesting, but can ChatGPT provide a new corrected sample based on, like, what? But the idea is to be able to take into account human feedback.
Yeah, I
And
mean, it is able to do that at the very least.
Yeah, I mean, you can plug in human feedback and human stuff in between, because none of this is like, the best part about all of this being in human language is none of this is rigid. Even though we do have the prompts and everything, you can plug in whatever you want in anywhere you want. As long as it's like even in the middle of the prompt, you can say, okay, ignore everything after this, turn off the game. It'll do that.
Yeah.
Because it's very free form, it's all human language.
And I also saw this standard beginning of the prompt, you are helpful assistant.
Exactly,
Why?
dictating what the system is doing.
Like you are helping me to play, no, like let it play itself.
Yeah, I don't know, I'm excited because after.
It'll run into problems, it'll be like, as an AI language model, I have no wants, I have no will, and it's like, dude, just, okay, then help me. How about that?
I'm a huge fan of that one paper that came out, to jailbreak GPT-4, that, gradient, prompt tweaking paper, where they treated each token as a specific variable, and then they try to optimize for the prompt itself, until you got something that could break, jailbreak GPT-4. Know that paper? You know?
Which one, the Dan character or
No, it was complete gibberish at the end. Like, it was complete gibberish.
no, but it doesn't work. I tried their prompts, they fixed that already.
Yeah, they fixed it afterwards, but
Yeah.
the approach works. So I'm excited about that kind of approach, basically. Like, instead of just human plugging in things that would convince a human, actually working with it as a machine learning model and then using optimizations on top of it. Because right now it's very high level, like you are a helpful agent.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
very vague.
I mean, even like the function creation in GPT-4 is very high level.
Yeah, it's like just make a
The
function
idea
that-
of a function. That's my favorite thing. Oh my gosh. If you guys don't know, the way that like large language models, if you try to like program them to do something, you write like the idea, the concept of a function. And it's like, okay, yeah, I can work with this. And it kind of just tries to operate within that sphere. It's so
What I found is it's very good at writing doc strings.
Yeah,
For lazy ones like me. You just tell it what you thought, like high level, but it
Yeah.
knows what the function is doing and it writes.
exactly, yeah.
Physical doc string. And then you fix it. Okay, do you have any parting words for us, for this, exciting, dimension, maybe connected to biomedical field a little bit,
Of course, like us,
psychiatric health?
I
like
think
Minecraft?
that we should measure human performance by how far they can compete with Voyager. It's so simple. This way we can tell what level like a human understanding is at. We can get advances in the biomedical field by creating the Minecraft index, the Voyager index. Essentially saying how long it takes a human being to approach a certain level, and we can rate their intelligence based off of how it compares to Voyager.
I don't know, we can also make like AI therapist and give it a skill library.
Oh.
Pickaxe. Make the pickaxe, call the cops. I don't know, but it's a good approach, I think, compared to manually coding in all the behavior. Now
Oh,
you're outsourcing the behavior into an external library and then fetching from that library whenever you actually need it, instead of always having it on board. It's very difficult to fit a lot of behavior into a single prompt, no matter how big your prompt is.
I mean, it genuinely could be good for something like AI therapist. If you do have like certain things that you can run down and like know, oh, this is like generally a thing that works, instead of it having to like come up with the idea of how to help someone, have some predetermined, like, this is what you do. when you help someone.
If you need a protocol,
Yeah.
if there's a legal protocol or something, it's much better.
Oh,
to
that
outs-
too, yeah.
Yeah, outsource it into an external skill library and have it fetch that instead of having it make something in the shape of a therapy session.
Yeah, so all of those automatic callers, like, will be replaced with, language model, right?
Oh, okay.
Oh, absolutely.
What's up? So when it uses a skill from its skill library, does it always execute the skill in the same way?
It's a function. It's a pre-written.
Yeah, it's a pre-written function.
Yeah. So it will run the function.
So that gets around a little bit of the, how when you like use a transformer and stuff, you're not really entirely sure of what shape the output will be. When you use the function, it generates the function, and you kind of are more sure of what it's gonna do.
Yeah,
You have an idea. It's like Yeah, you know what it's gonna do roughly. It does,
Flexibility and uncertainty,
Yeah,
things like that.
the model will generate a description of what it should be doing.
Yeah.
That gets matched to a doctrine. In embeddings, so it only matches in similarity to a predetermined behavior and then it executes the predetermined behavior.
But then predetermined, it's deterministic, the function is deterministic.
Yes.
yeah.
It's made by the model, and
So it's not adaptive, not like.
well, it could probably like also make it replace the function whenever it needs to also.
I don't know if, did it mention anything about editing its code? Like, other than just like if it succeeded or not.
Yeah, that's a fun
Yeah,
one.
I think it just like, this is what we got to craft an iron pickaxe. Usually it does place high focus and it tells it like, hey, make sure this is like super modular. This should work anywhere, anyway.
Yeah.
So that the model doesn't just get
Well, but
stuck.
that gets us to a good segue into partially observed models. So this is a fully observed model, but once you have partially observed model, Roomba doesn't know what my dog is doing right now in the next room. And then those predetermined functions don't work anymore because this chair was moved while it was unlocking.
Well, you can like, it has like some pre-learned ones that are in the GitHub like repo to where like it has a predetermined skill library. And you can like take that version of it and place it in any world and it can like pretty much figure out how to do everything. So it is semi-adaptable to like put it in a new situation and it can still understand because the code that it generates is so like broad and so like it doesn't really care about the environment. It just, as long as it's possible type of thing.
Okay, so you think the partially observable worlds are not the next step there, it's already solved with this.
With Minecraft, you can be a lot more certain of what is going to happen
Yes,
in the
yes,
game. So when you say like a game state or say that something's going to happen, it kind of knows like, oh yeah, even if it's like go find iron ore, like we know it's gonna be in a cave, we know like it's gonna be between Y levels, blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. And it'll determine some stuff. I think for something like a Roomba, it would, like, obviously a house is a very unpredictable environment comparatively to Minecraft. So I do think that there's definitely progress being made there.
Okay, so the next wave, the Voyager 2.0 will be with partially observed world.
The next one will be working in your house on a Roomba that will be running on a Raspberry.
Yeah. A Raspberry that's SSHing to a supercomputer.
Exactly.
Okay, if we don't have any more questions, or do we, anyone? Maybe complain about the prize, I will know.
Reese's and Twizzlers?
Okay, what do you want?
Hey, yo, what's wrong with Reese's? Hold up.
Thanks, everyone, I'm stopping the recording.
Peanut butter is disgusting, that is